Hello, Tableau friends and family, and welcome to week 39 of your Workout Wednesday walkthrough. My apologies for being quite a few days late on this one. So let's see what Roddy has in store for us this week. From the outset, this looks pretty simple, but knowing Roddy, I'm sure that there's some trickery to this. We see what looks to be a line chart, an area chart, and a circle mark. So I'm not exactly sure how he pulled this off. As I hover over it, these circles aren't exactly highlighting, but they do seem to be highlighting when I select them. So it does look like a circle mark. If I hover over the area chart, I can tell it's not a reference line based on the tooltip display. And nothing else is popping out quickly as a reference line. We know those aren't editable, the tooltip of the reference line. So these have to be mark types. So this should be interesting. The vertical axis, which looks to be a header, is interesting. So that's probably just something driven by a parameter. And this does not look to be a header. It's either a title, text box, or something else altogether. Shouldn't be too bad. Let's give it a go. So we want to do sales, profit, and quantity over month of order date. Let's see if Roddy has this cyclable. So he does. I don't know if he intended it to do that because this still says month of order date, which we know this display is not showing correctly. So unless that's clearly written on the blog, over month, year of order date. Yeah, I think I'm just going to truncate that to the month so I can avoid that hierarchy of dates. I really don't like this option to be there if I intended my display to be by a month or a year or a day or a week. So if that's the case and I want it to be displayed by month, I'm going to actually get the month and make that option not there. And there's an easy way to do this. It's pretty much just creating a calculated field to be the exact month of the order date, or whatever date field you're working with. So if I type date trunc to the month, the order date, whoops, order month, this will always be order month. You'll never get that hierarchy to display. So let me size this down a little bit and we will pull this out to our columns. And now you see I don't get the hierarchy anywhere, which is what I wanted to happen. Can hurry and fix this up. Month of order date, that matches Roddy's axis. The tick marks look to be every year. So let's just go ahead and fix that. 1/1, 2015, so that will extend for every year the data lives, and we're good to go so far. And we know that this could be sales, profit, or quantity. So I'm just going to go ahead and create that parameter that will control that, that measure for us. As you've seen in previous videos, I like to do ones or numerics for my values that I use in my calculations, and strings for my values that I display to my users. And again, to reiterate, this just helps me build a better calculation. Not necessarily a better one, but saves a little bit of typing. And then I can swap things out easily. I don't have to change the hard coding. So if I decided I wanted quantity to be the first option, I just switch it here in the parameter and the calculation still takes effect. I don't have to change anything in there. So we have our parameter, p measure. Let's display that just for fun. And let's create our calculation. for demo's sake, what this is doing is looking at this parameter and looking at the selection. When it's the first selection, then we reference the sales measure. When it's the second selection, then we reference the profit measure. And when it's the third selection, we represent the quantity measure. And we can drag that out to rows and tell Tableau to be whichever one of those we want: sales, profit, or quantity. And if we cycle through Roddy's here, we can see if we're matching those numbers. If I go to profit, I have 2450 and 862 as my first two marks, and Roddy has 2450 and 862. So I know that I've done the calculation right. I know that I'm using the same data, and everything looks to be just fine. Let's look at the axis here. If I go over to Roddy's viz, I can click on the axis and see this blue highlight, which tells me that this is a header, not an axis title. You cannot put in a parameter here. This is one of my big wish list items where I wish I could just embed a parameter text wherever there's a free text field. This would solve for this problem. But since we can't do that, we're just going to have to get rid of the axis altogether, the title at least, and build out a custom header, which will be very similar to our measure calculation that we just made. So I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm just going to change the name to something like measure label. And instead of referencing a field, I'm going to hard code a string. So now, instead of a number, we have a dynamic string that changes every time you change that parameter. I'm going to drag this out to my labels here, and let's see if we can get it to match this formatting, this up and down layout. That's interesting. So I can make it go vertical, but I don't think you want to do that, because the only way the P looks correct is with the standard way we look at text here. So I don't know why you would really do this. Maybe you would do this. I don't think it's that necessary. Roddy's just trying to challenge us, but I don't think you would necessarily need to do this at work ever. But I think this is how you can if you wanted to. So basically what we're going to do is separate out each character of the string with char10. And char10 is just essentially the carriage return. So we're going to build an SALES with carriage returns into each of them, which will make them display in a left to right reading manner, but go up and down vertically. So this is a highly annoying calculation to write. I'm just going to copy this section here. Let's see if that one is right initially. So I can hit apply, change it to sales, and now we get this up and down label. Again, I don't know if you would do this. I guess that's kind of cool. But writing out these calculations isn't very fun. So, oh well. Trying to spell a word when you're putting these characters between it is actually exceedingly difficult for some reason. See, I'm going really slow and kind of struggling. Fun fact about me, I took 3rd place in the school spelling bee in 3rd grade. That was the highlight of my academic achievement to that point in my life. And now you know that. Okay, I'm not sure if I spelled quantity right, but we'll see. So let's do profit. That looks fine. And quantity. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and save this. Okay, so we have this tricky label here. We're just going to match the formatting of this label, looks to be the same, but they don't look the same. That's strange. Huh. It's really weird. Tableau is quirky sometimes. This also looks to be center aligned. Yeah, that looks better. There we go. So let's hide this field label. We've got some borders that appeared. We don't want those. We're looking like Roddy's sheet here. Looks like he's edited his axis to be in thousands. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. No decimal place in thousands, and we are good to go. So let's pull these side by side and see how similar we're looking. So we're okay. I'm a little worried about this third mark type. So I can build an area chart. That's all fine. I can overlay it with a line chart, which is fine. I don't know how to overlay a dot on top of that. I don't have a third axis, so I'm really not quite sure what's going on there. That's interesting. You could just go in here and put circles on it, which I think I'm actually going to end up doing. Actually, that is what's going on with Roddy's. So the highlighting, if you watch closely, you can see I get these little dots here when I hover over it, which represents the area display. You see the black dot on the top and the bottom of that line. And if I go to Roddy's, you can see that same interaction here. If I hover over this circle, you don't see any highlighting going on the circle. If this were a circle mark, you would get that black highlight around it. So you can see where I'm trying to pick out the differences between the two. Just subtle little things which tell me what's going on behind the scenes on Roddy's Viz. So really this is just a line mark with a circle marker. And when I click on the circle, it gives me that same circle highlight that I would expect to see from a circle mark, but not when it's on the line. So I think we're actually fine here. That was easier than I thought it would be. I'm very surprised, to be honest. So let's just get rid of a few things. Match the coloring. Looks like we're just dealing with some kind of gray. Don't think it's too important to be perfect when you're dealing with colors here, but let's try our best anyway. So I'm going to take my screen selection color and just grab this darker gray and hit OK for my area. That looks way off, so we're going to bump that way down to like 10. So it looks close enough. Actually, Roddy's doesn't have any opacity at all because I don't see the grid line going through. So we're actually going to give this all its color back and just pick a really light gray, which is probably this one here. And for the line, I'll use that color selection drop and move on. So it looks like we have a pretty good replica of the sheet here. Let's see if we missed any steps. I think we're probably close. Create a parameter, we're good. Create an area chart with line and circle marks for the selected metric over month and year of order date. Yep, we're good there. The metric must be displayed vertically. This is dynamic and is a single calculated field. Okay, we're good there. Don't hard code the labels. This is Roddy just reinforcing you to not hard code them. Fine. And pay attention to white space and weighting. Basically what Roddy's asking us here is just to mind our padding levels on the dashboard. And I've seen Roddy tweet about this before. I'm a big promoter of padding and really believe that a little white space gives your dashboard a lot more impact. It's easier to read, and it just provides an overall better experience. So I really like this call out to pay attention to white space and weighting. Dashboard size is 1000 by 800. We're already there. I'm going to do my traditional method of putting out a floating vertical and having it take up the entire dimensions of the screen. And we can just start building this out. If I go in here, I believe if this is a text box, we can just copy that right out. Might be a dashboard title. Anyway, let's just build it on our own. We'll throw 2 blanks in there to help me guide my layout containers. So let's just start typing. Workout Wednesday, week 39, vertical label, and 3 mark types. This is all centered. Just going to guess here. Say 20, and maybe this will be 16. It's really not a big deal to match the titling, I don't think. What do I know? We have 4 pixel padding here. That might be good or not. Let's see what this looks like once we get everything on our screen. I'm going to add this sheet, which will add that parameter in a tiled object, which again, I don't want. So I'm just going to go down here, find my parameter, and then get rid of that tiled object forever. You drag this parameter here, hold shift to drop it into that container. This is a big spot where we see padding come into play. We definitely don't want this 1000 pixel wide parameter. That's absolutely ridiculous. So we want some inner padding to get it to kind of align with the subtitle here. So I can click on that. I don't want all sides equal because I don't want the top and bottom to be padded, but I do want these to be shrunk. So if we said 400 on each side, that leaves us that leaves us exactly 200 pixels left for the center. And that looks pretty good to me. It's not exactly like Roddy's, but it's fine. So choose metric, sales profit quantity. We're good there. I don't think I can put a border around the title. Can really check really quick. Yeah, we don't want that. So this is going to be not the worksheet's title. It's another text box with a bar underneath it. So that would be something like a blank to give us that effect. We don't want that to say sales. We want that to be our measure. Okay, let's format this really quick. Put it in the middle. I don't know why we have this. It looks kind of funny. So that would say sales, profit, quantity. Good to go. Let's drop a blank here as well. And get that color. We'll just get it right from Roddy's Viz. Looks like black, but it's not. It's almost black. And we'll get rid of this padding here and edit this height to be like 2. And that looks pretty dang close. Get rid of the blank, and I think we're essentially ready to go outside of some formatting. So let's see here. We've got Workout Wednesday, week 39. I don't think I need any padding there. That's a little distance away from this container, so we could work on that. We might want to give our outer padding maybe 15 pixels instead. So what if we just call it 15 across the board here and see how that works. I don't know what is going on here. looks really funny. Let's just give it some more room. Maybe we'll just call this 50 and call it good. Oh, weird. Okay. There we go. That was weird. Let's clear that hideout and go back to our padding and just do another 15. But less on the bottom. Maybe we'll do 5 on the bottom to get it just a little closer to that separation. And we look kind of okay here. Let's keep doing 15. And on the blank here, maybe we'll just do, say, 15 on the insides. I think we're good to go. You can't really tell what's happening for that little blank on server, but it looks fine. The only thing we really need to work on here is the label, and then we'd be done. So let's figure out the tooltip. I'm just going to make a copy of this order month. Sometimes it's just easier to format your tooltips with a copy. I don't want to do that. Never mind. I'm just going to format this in the same way as Roddy's and see what goes on. Okay, we're good there. And the dollars are a little different. So let's try pane formatting just to be our regular number and see if that comes out. So we get that 82K. So the axis formatting is overriding the pane formatting for some reason. I've still never really understood this one, but we can just make a copy of that field and use that in our tooltip instead. So really all we want is this. Put our parameter in here, take off the selection, and take out that. And we'll probably have a similar tooltip. October 2015, sales. Okay, we're good to go. The only thing that looked to be wrong there is maybe the weighting, but again, I'm not that worried about it. So that was it. Pretty easy week, thankfully. Hope you found this helpful if you were stuck at some point. And we'll see you again on Wednesday. Thanks. Bye.